Welcome to Neon Primer Go-to-Market, where Vega and Axon break down go-to-market strategy for founders who are done guessing. New episode every week.
Welcome to today's deep dive. So, if you are listening to this right now, you likely have this small white plastic thermostat sitting on a wall somewhere in your home.
Oh, absolutely. We pretty much all do.
Right. And you probably don't think about it much, you know? You just expect it to work when you need it to.
Exactly. You turn the dial and you expect the air to get cold.
Exactly, yeah. But behind that little dial is this rapidly shifting landscape. I mean, we are talking environmental regulations, hyperlocal tax codes, and like billion-dollar supply chain disruptions.
It is a massive industry that is just going through a total overhaul right now.
It really is.
Right.
So to understand what is actually happening behind your walls, we are unpacking a really fascinating 2026 report on go-to-market strategies for the HVAC industry.
And the core mission of this deep dive is to explore a fundamental shift that is highlighted in these sources.
Right, because surviving in this industry today means abandoning the old model. The days of just being an equipment seller who shows up with a van and a wrench, that is over.
Oh, completely over. The new winning strategy is transforming into a service-led, financing-enabled, local trust engine.
Which is quite a mouthful. I mean, the report goes as far as calling it a comfort and performance platform.
Right, which requires a completely different operational mindset from these companies.
Yeah.
To grasp why firms are being forced to evolve so drastically, we have to look at the macro environment detailed in the research.
Yeah, the sheer scale of the global stakes here is wild.
It is. So buildings currently account for about 30% of global energy demand. And as populations expand and we see these structural changes in global temperatures, the sheer demand for cooling is compounding.
Which makes sense. I mean, the International Energy Agency data in our sources shows that energy demand for space cooling has grown at roughly 4% annually since the year 2000.
Right. And we crossed 1.5 billion residential cooling units globally a few years ago.
Wow, 1.5 billion.
Yeah.
So with a market that size, the immediate question is, well, how are firms actually capturing that demand today?
Right. And the data points directly to the great heat pump roller coaster of the last few years.
Roller coaster, yeah. I mean, heat pumps represent the clearest technology convergence, right? Because they unify heating and cooling, and they align with all these broader electrification trends.
Exactly. But if you look at the actual numbers, the adoption curve has been it's been erratic.
Erratic is a good word for it.
Yeah. I mean, globally, we saw heat pump sales actually fall by about 2% in 2025.
Okay, let's unpack this because the U.S. data in the report highlights an even sharper swing.
Oh, it's a wild ride.
It is. So through late 2025, U.S. shipments of heat pumps dropped by 12.1% year over year. And during that same period, traditional gas furnaces actually saw an increase.
Right. People were going back to the old technology.
Yeah. But then the calendar flips to early 2026, and heat pumps suddenly stabilize, growing 1.2%, while central AC shipments simultaneously drop 7.5%.
Just market turbulence everywhere.
Exactly. So I have to ask, I mean, heat pumps are heavily publicized. They're like the electric car of the home, but they seem incredibly volatile. Are consumers actively rejecting the technology, or is this just, I don't know, friction in the market?
It's really friction. The volatility is a symptom of the technology moving from an early adopter niche into the mainstream core market.
Got it. So it's hitting the masses.
Right. And when a product hits the core market, it runs headfirst into economic friction and operational realities. So that dip in 2025, that was really a reflection of the industry struggling with execution at scale.
Execution in what sense?
Well, the primary battleground in the U.S. is the retrofit market, which is about 132.5 million occupied homes.
Okay, that is a vast installed base.
It is, but retrofitting older homes is it's vastly more complex than just dropping a unit into new construction.
Right, because of older ductwork and things like that. But even when you look at new construction, the regional divides in the data are just stark.
Oh, the regional differences are massive.
Like, in the South, 76% of attached single-family homes use electric heat. And up in the Northeast, 45% of new multifamily units are now utilizing heat pumps.
Right, they're adopting it quickly.
But then the data pivots to the Midwest, and an overwhelming 94% of new single-family homes there are still being built with traditional forced air gas furnaces. Only 5% are getting heat pumps.
Yeah, that Midwest number always surprises people.
It's crazy. Why is the Midwest so deeply resistant to a technology that the rest of the country is adopting?
Well, it really comes down to underlying infrastructure and simple thermodynamics.
Okay, how so?
So in the Midwest, you have an entrenched, highly developed natural gas infrastructure that keeps fuel prices comparatively low. You also have an older electrical grid and older housing stock.
Ah, so it costs more to switch.
Yeah. Exactly. Upgrading to a heat pump often requires a costly electrical panel upgrade just to handle the load. And when you combine those capital barriers with the region's deep freezing temperatures, which challenge the efficiency curves of older heat pump models, well, builders just default to the proven cheaper gas furnace.
So because regional realities and infrastructure differ so wildly, treating the consumer as, a single entity is a total mistake.
It's a huge mistake. The way a firm pitches a system in Florida fundamentally cannot work in a Chicago living room.
Which leads right into how the sources outline this. They segment the market into 6 distinct buyer journeys.
Right. 6 completely different psychological and financial profiles.
Yeah, you've got residential emergency replacements, residential new construction, multifamily property managers, commercial retrofits, commercial new builds, and industrial process heat.
Exactly. And just consider the commercial side for a second. Medium and large commercial buildings are responsible for over 80% of commercial space heating energy.
80%, wow.
Yeah. And historically, 95% of that energy has been generated by fossil fuels.
No, it's a massive carbon footprint.
Exactly. So when a firm sits down with a corporate facility manager, the conversation is heavily weighted toward decarbonization targets, energy compliance, and, long-term risk transfer.
Right. But pivot over to the residential buyer and the pitch flips completely upside down.
It really does.
Here is where it gets really interesting to me. The report features this product positioning hierarchy detailing what actually convinces a homeowner to buy.
The hierarchy of needs, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Number 1 is reliability and comfort. Number 2 is operating savings. Number 3 is indoor air quality, or IAQ. Number 4 is connected convenience, like smart thermostats. And sitting dead last at number 5 is decarbonization.
Right. Decarbonization is the very bottom.
Right. I look at this hierarchy, survival, wallet, lungs, earth, and it makes me wonder, if decarbonization is the macro trend driving all this government policy, why is it entirely ineffective as a sales tactic at the kitchen table?
Well, it boils down to behavioral economics. Comfort is a visceral, immediate biological need. Carbon reduction is abstract and long-term.
Right. It doesn't solve the immediate problem.
Exactly. I mean, if your air conditioning fails in July, your immediate pain point is that your bedroom is 85 degrees and you cannot sleep.
You just want it fixed.
Right. The homeowner wants to solve the physical pain of discomfort first.
Survival first. But it's really interesting that indoor air quality has climbed to the number 3 spot. The report highlights that IAQ has become primary selling wedge for contractors now.
Yeah, and the underlying mechanism for that shift is super compelling. The EPA statistics in the report show Americans spend roughly 90% of their time indoors.
90%. That is wild to think about.
Right. And because modern homes are built tighter for energy efficiency, indoor pollutant levels can frequently concentrate and actually become higher than outdoor levels.
Oh, wow. So the energy efficiency is kind of trapping the bad air.
Exactly. So for families managing asthma or property managers running schools and offices, pitching the mechanical removal of allergens and pathogens is highly, highly persuasive.
That makes total sense. And even when the sales pitch does move to efficiency, the report stresses that it must remain grounded in tangible math. You can't just tell a homeowner a system is greener.
No, greener doesn't sell. You have to use metrics.
Right, like the Energy Star data, which shows heat pumps can deliver up to 3 times more heat energy than the electrical energy they consume.
Exactly. Or pointing out that a smart thermostat reduces usage by about 8%, which translates to roughly $50 a year in savings.
Right, because tangible metrics translate abstract engineering concepts directly into monthly cash flow.
Exactly. It makes it real for the buyer.
But wait, let me challenge that logic based on the financing data, because the report emphasizes that firms are neutralizing sticker shock by offering 0% APR for 60 months.
Right. That is a huge trend.
So, if financing is so frictionless and a high-efficiency system saves you $50 a year, why aren't buyers just defaulting to the absolute highest efficiency models? I mean, shouldn't the operational savings completely offset the monthly payment?
See, it is a logical assumption, but the math just doesn't quite clear the capital expense hurdle.
What do you mean?
Well, a top-tier, ultra-high efficiency system can easily cost $5,000 to $8,000 more upfront than a standard efficiency unit.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is a big jump.
Yeah. So even at 0% interest spread over 60 months, that higher principal adds over $100 to the monthly payment.
I see.
Right, so saving $4 or $5 a month on your utility bill simply does not offset a $100 increase in your monthly loan payment.
Yeah, that math definitely does not work out. Which explains why the report states that in 2026, financing is not just an optional add-on at the bottom of a brochure. Financing is the core product.
It absolutely is.
Like, if a contractor doesn't make monthly affordability obvious at the initial quote stage, they lose the job entirely. We see examples in the sources of carrier offering lease-to-own options through partners specifically designed for subprime buyers who might, fail a traditional credit check.
Right, they are converting an unpredictable emergency capital expense into a predictable monthly cell phone bill.
Exactly. But the urgency to master that financing conversation intensified significantly because of a major policy shift, didn't it?
Oh, it absolutely did. This is a massive bombshell. The federal residential 25C tax credit for heat pumps officially ended for property placed in service after December 31st, 2025.
Wait, really? That was a multi-billion-dollar federal subsidy. It just simply vanished from the sales script.
It vanished. And the implications are severe for any firm not paying attention. If a contractor is still marketing a default federal tax credit in their 2026 sales materials, they are actively misleading buyers.
Oh, wow. That is a huge liability. So what do they do instead?
Well, the industry has been forced to pivot toward the Department of Energy home energy rebates. Now, these are not broad federal write-offs. They are hyper-local grants administered through individual state and tribal programs.
Wait, so if these rebates are administered at the state level, does that mean a local contractor effectively has to become a localized tax and rebate consultant just to close a single deal?
They absolutely do. Firms are having to build ZP code-specific workflows. They are utilizing tools like the Energy Star Rebate Finder to pre-qualify customers right there at the kitchen table.
That is wild.
Yeah, the report notes that mastering this local rebate workflow and achieving a capture rate of over 85% is a primary conversion lever today.
Okay, but if the local contractor has to master ZIP code-specific tax codes and subprime leasing options just to finalize a quote, how are they generating the initial phone call in the first place?
Well, the sources indicate a deep bifurcation in marketing strategies between residential and commercial firms.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure, so the residential model relies entirely on capturing immediate high-stress intent. I mean, when a furnace breaks in the middle of winter, the homeowner isn't researching engineering white papers.
Right, they are just searching HVAC repair near me on their phone.
Exactly. So success there requires dominating Google local services ads, rigorously managing local reviews, and maintaining a lead response time of under 5 minutes.
Right, fast, local, and 5 stars. But the B2B enterprise firms operate on an entirely different spectrum.
Completely different. Enterprise marketing is built on authority and long-term risk mitigation. They heavily leverage industry flagships like the AHR Expo.
Right. The report mentions that Expo draws 1,800 exhibitors and 50,000 attendees.
Yeah, it's massive. And in the commercial space, you are engaging in consultative selling and application engineering. A hospital facility manager doesn't care about a Google review.
No, of course not.
Right. They care that the chiller system won't fail during surgery and cost them their career.
Exactly. But regardless of whether a firm is buying Google clicks or setting up a massive booth at the AHR Expo, the data points to a really severe bottleneck once they actually secure the contract.
Oh, the labor constraint.
Yeah. I mean, you can generate infinite demand, but the supply side is completely strangled. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects roughly 40,100 openings per year for HVAC mechanics and installers over this decade.
Which means generating a pristine sales lead is functionally useless if the firm lacks the trained technicians to actually fulfill the installation.
It's basically like running a heavily advertised Michelin star restaurant, but you have absolutely no waiters.
That is a perfect analogy. And the margin for error during that installation is remarkably thin.
Right. The install quality is a huge issue.
Yeah, the sources reference this joint field study by the Department of Energy and the National Renewable Energy Laboratory.
Yeah.
They found that only 76.9% of new installations had the correct refrigerant charge.
Wait, so nearly a quarter of all systems were compromised on day one?
Yes. And the penalty for getting the installation wrong is an immediate destruction of the very efficiency and comfort claims made during the sales pitch.
It completely undoes the whole promise.
Exactly. The same study demonstrated that performing simple tune-ups using smart diagnostics improved the system's sensible capacity by 5.4%.
Okay, and just for context on the mechanics there, a cooling system does two things. It removes humidity, which is latent capacity, and it actually drops the temperature of the air, which is sensible capacity.
Right.
So a poor installation literally prevents the machine from effectively cooling the air, regardless of what the efficiency rating on the box says.
Exactly.
Huh.
Which reinforces the premise that the execution of the install is just as critical as the hardware itself.
Absolutely.
However, completing a flawless installation is not the finish line for these firms. It is really just the starting line for the actual business model.
Right, the post-install goldmine. The report details this service ladder designed to transition an HVAC business from a seasonal, weather-dependent operation into a recurring revenue engine.
That is the holy grail for these companies.
Yeah, and it starts with a standard warranty registration. Then from there, the firm moves the customer into paid annual maintenance plans, then into extended labor and parts coverage, followed by remote diagnostics, and finally, life cycle replacement.
It is a brilliant ladder.
Yeah, and the benchmark these firms are aiming for is a 35% to 60% maintenance plan attachment rate.
Because it creates predictable cash flow. And at the enterprise level, the technology enabling this recurring revenue is incredibly sophisticated.
Like what?
Well, manufacturers like Trane and Carrier have introduced connected mechanical service agreements. They are essentially transforming commercial HVAC infrastructure into monitored digital platforms.
So instead of waiting for a tenant to complain about the heat, what does that monitoring actually look like for a facility manager?
So a facility manager logs into a centralized dashboard, like Carrier's Abound platform, for instance, and views the thermal and mechanical telemetry of an entire skyscraper in real time.
That is incredible.
Yeah, the software can flag a minute vibration in a fan motor 3 weeks before it actually causes a system failure, allowing the firm to dispatch a technician proactively.
Wow. Predictive maintenance completely changes the value proposition. But, just as the industry is attempting to smooth out its revenue through these digital service ladders, the regulatory environment is throwing substantial operational hurdles in their path.
Oh, massive hurdles.
Yeah, the sources highlight two massive regulatory shifts. The first was the Department of Energy updating efficiency ratings to SEER 2 and HSPF 2 in 2023.
Right, and those acronyms basically dictate how efficiency is measured. SEER stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. You can think of it as the miles per gallon rating for an air conditioner.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the shift to SEER 2 involved implementing stricter, more realistic testing conditions that mimic real-world duct pressures. It forced every contractor to update their sales language and inventory tracking to ensure they were quoting compliant hardware.
Which is a significant administrative burden, but the sources indicate it was entirely eclipsed by the EPA mandate that took effect on January 1st, 2025.
Oh, absolutely eclipsed it.
Right. This was the transition to lower global warming potential refrigerants, specifically shifting the industry to what are known as A2L refrigerants. And the Watsco data in the report provides a really good sense of the scale here.
Yeah, Watsco is a massive distributor.
Right. And they noted this single regulatory transition affected 55% of all products they sold. It required the active conversion of over $1 billion of inventory across more than 650 U.S. locations.
$1 billion of inventory. And the disruption really stems from the chemical properties of A2L refrigerants. They are classified as mildly flammable.
Right, flammable.
Yeah, and because of that flammability rating, a contractor cannot simply pour the new chemical into an old system.
It sounds akin to like changing the blood type of every hospital in the country simultaneously.
That is exactly what it's like.
Suddenly, the old IV bags are incompatible, the storage protocols have to be rewritten, and if a technician uses the wrong valve, the entire system fails.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize the logistical nightmare here. The entire supply chain had to be re-engineered. Contractors had to invest in spark-proof tools, specialized recovery cylinders, new leak detection sensors, and completely redesign the inventory configurations in the back of their service trucks.
Which brings us right back to the core concept of the local trust engine. If a homeowner's system breaks down on a Tuesday afternoon in August, and the technician cannot repair it quickly because their supply chain is in total chaos from the A2L transition, the homeowner does not care about EPA mandates.
Not at all.
They only care that they are sitting in a sweltering house.
Exactly. Parts logistics is no longer a back-office administrative task. It is a direct sales promise. Failing to maintain the correct inventory severs the trust required to keep that customer on the recurring service ladder.
Right. So synthesizing all of the data and strategic shifts outlined in these sources, the blueprint for 2026 is uncompromising. To survive, an HVAC firm must commit to a distinct archetype.
You really have to pick a lane.
Yeah, you are either a hyper-local replacement engine dominating Google reviews and dispatch times, or you are an enterprise lifecycle operator managing smart connected commercial platforms.
Right.
In either scenario, success requires seamless point-of-sale financing, navigating localized rebate codes, flawless installation mechanics, and locking in recurring service revenue. The era of the transactional equipment seller is definitively over.
It is over. The industry demands a multidisciplinary approach now. Firms are managing complex chemical supply chains, digital monitoring software, and consumer finance, all while delivering a fundamental biological need.
It really fundamentally changes how you view the infrastructure hidden in your ceiling.
Yeah.
And, looking at the trajectory of these connected mechanical service agreements, it sparks a final thought to mull over for everyone listening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if the industry is successfully transforming HVAC equipment into data-driven recurring service platforms, how long before the consumer concept of buying a furnace or an air conditioner just disappears entirely?
That is interesting.
Right. Like, are we moving toward a future where homeowners never actually own the hardware in their basement, but instead simply subscribe to a guaranteed indoor climate? Essentially treating temperature as a utility, much like a subscription to cloud storage or a streaming service. Like, climate as a service.
Well, given the escalating capital costs of high-efficiency hardware and the industry's desire for predictable revenue, treating residential climate control as a subscription model is actually a highly plausible evolution.
It is definitely something to ponder the next time you walk past the wall. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 2026 GTM HVAC report. We highly encourage you to take a look at your own home or office thermostat with fresh eyes today. It is no longer just a simple temperature dial. It is the gateway to a deeply complex billion-dollar battlefield.
If you got value from this, share it with someone building something real. And if you want to stay sharp on go-to-market, follow Neon Primer GTM. We'll be back with more.